Hi, and welcome to episode 53 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live on a farm with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, February 1st, 2019. Thank you so much for joining me. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. I really appreciate you joining me today, and I hope that you enjoy this episode. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. You can find me on Ravelry at Noble Character. And I also have a group for this podcast in Ravelry under Noble Character Crafts Podcast. In that group, you will be able to find the show notes for this episode as well as previous episodes and several other chatter threads. You can also get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. And I have links to all of the places that you can find me in the description box below. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting, crocheting, and hand-dyed yarn to share with you all. So I hope that you enjoy. As I mentioned last week, I am going to periodically be pulling a prize from the thread in the Ravelry group, which is called Noble Character Crafts Yarn Project. So that is for any project that you are making using my hand-dyed yarn, Noble Character Crafts yarn. And as I had said last week, I'm just going to be randomly pulling a prize from that thread every once in a while. And I thought I would just go ahead and draw a prize today so that that would maybe encourage others to continue to enter your projects that you are making using my hand-dyed yarn. It does not have to be completely made using Noble Character Crafts yarn, just as long as you're using some of Noble Character Crafts yarn. I would love to see any of the projects that you're making, so please do continue to enter any of your projects over there in that thread. And I went ahead and used random number generator to pull a prize. The prize is going to be, all of my yarn comes in one of these hand stamped drawstring bags with my logo on there. And today's prize is a set of yarn. I have a full skein, 100-gram skein of yarn here in my Pleasure colorway. And these are both on my Pitter Patter base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Again, the full skein is called Pleasure, and then this mini is a 50-gram mini, and it was just a one-of-a-kind mini skein that I had dyed when I was testing out a new colorway. I don't even remember what color I was trying to get. It was a long time ago that I dyed that, but those went so well together that I thought it would be a nice set to give away. And then also all of my hand-dyed yarn comes with a project or a progress keeper or stitch marker attached to it. So this one is a little heart that says made with love. And the random number generator chose number 19, which is Cheryl Lee of Labrador Essence on Ravelry. That's the username. So congratulations, Cheryl Lee. She actually entered the thread using a skein of yarn that she had won from a previous giveaway from my podcast. And she had knitted up a shawl using that skein. And so it's just come full circle that now, since she won that and knitted up something with it and entered it in the thread, she has now won another set of yarn. So congratulations, Cheryl Lee. I do still have your address, of course, and so I will just get this off in the mail to you. Congratulations, and I hope that you thoroughly enjoy it. Today I am wearing my boho blush shawl, which I finished maybe a month ago or so, maybe a little over a month ago. And this is a pattern by ANDREA MOWRY. You can't see the details of it very well since I knit it all in black yarn, but I wear this so often because I do wear a lot of black, and of course it just goes with so much. I made this out of my own hand-dyed yarn in my Night colorway on my Solace base, which has cashmere in it, so it's nice and cozy, and I get so much use out of this shawl. So anyway, I am also wearing my finished object for this week. As you can see, I am wearing my headband that I finished. This pattern is the RHUBARBIDOO pattern by DIANNA WALLA, who is also known as Cake and Vikings on Instagram. And this is the second object that I have finished from my Make 9 list, so that's super exciting. This is actually a very quick project. Although it did take me quite a bit longer than it should have because I had a lot of misstarts with it. I had to keep ripping it out and starting over. I had to start it over 4 times. So I will just kind of talk you through what I did. I think I'll go ahead and take it off, but as you can see, it fits really well. It's nice and snug, and that was the main issue that I had. When I was making it previously, I was making it, well, it was ending up too large, and so I had to keep ripping it out and trying to make it tighter because I really wanted it snug. It does spread out the color work, you know, the snowflake pattern there, or star pattern, is quite widened, but I just wasn't happy with it when it wasn't tight enough, because it was just, I thought it would just continue to slip off of my head and wouldn't be as comfortable. And this is a nice snug fit, and it's just really comfortable, and it's wide enough to cover my ears, and I just think it'll be great. I can wear it both with my hair down and if I have my hair up in a bun, which I wear my hair up in a bun quite often, and so this would be easy to throw on with even a bun in my hair. So I'm really happy with it. Okay, for this project, I used Knit Picks palette yarn in black and cream. So these are the same colors that I made used to make my yucca veld mittens that I showed you on last week's podcast. And so I wanted to have this headband to match the gloves, or the mittens, so that would be kind of a set to wear. I used US size 2.75 millimeter needles to cast on. And I modified the pattern in a few different ways. The original pattern calls for you to cast on a certain number of stitches, of course. But anyway, I think it's okay to, this is a paid for pattern, so I can't give a ton of information away, but I think it's okay to say that the pattern repeats 8 times on this headband. So I cast on using the US size 2 and followed the pattern exactly. Once I switched to the color work section, then I went up to a US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter needle. And I did that, of course, just because my gauge tightens as I do color work. And this pattern calls for a gauge of 8 stitches to 1 inch, and that was the same gauge that I had gotten when I made my yucca veld mittens. So I was confident that I would be able to get the right gauge using those needles, because it was the same yarn and everything. But when I cast on the number of stitches that it called for in the pattern, I had 2 problems. The first problem I had was that in the pattern, it only calls for 1 row of ribbing. So I think it was 1 by 1. Yes, it called for 1 row of 1 by 1 ribbing. And that was curling up on me with only 1 row of 1 by 1 ribbing. And then the other problem was that it was just way too large. I went onto the project page and noticed that other people had the same problems as I did. Other people suggested doing a few more rows of ribbing, and then also other people decided to take out the number of stitches that 1 repeat calls for. So like I said, the original pattern calls for 8 repeats of the pattern, and so they just took the number of stitches that are in 1 repeat and subtracted that from the total number of stitches cast on, so that they only did 7 repeats of the pattern instead of 8. So I tried that. I ended up doing the 1 by 1 ribbing for, I think I did 4 rows of 1 by 1 ribbing the second time that I cast this on. And I took away those extra stitches so that I would only have enough stitches to do 7 repeats of the pattern. That was also too large though, unfortunately. So I had gotten probably about halfway, not quite halfway, but almost halfway through the pattern, and I tried it on. Of course, again, I had this problem with the hat that I tried to make that I showed you last week, but I made this on 16-inch circular needles, and so you can't try it on very well when it's on a 16-inch circular needle. You have to get it off of that needle so that you can see how big it is, because it's all scrunched up on the needle. So I had that same problem, and anyway, after I took it off of the smaller cable and tried it on, it was also too large still. So at that point I was getting a little frustrated, but I decided to rip it out again, and I cast it on a 3rd time, and this time I took away another pattern repeat so that I would only have 6 repeats of the pattern. And that was fitting much better, but unfortunately, in fact, I was even thinking this as I was knitting it very pridefully. I was thinking, you know, when you join in the round, it says, be careful not to twist your stitches and, you know, join in the round. And I was even thinking to myself, you know, I have never twisted my stitches. I was getting quite proud of myself that I had never made that mistake. And lo and behold, as soon as I started the color work section, I noticed that all of my stitches were twisted. They say that pride comes before a fall, and I sure did. Anyway, so I had to start it over a 4th time, but I ended up doing actually 5 rows of 1x1 ribbing accidentally. I only meant to do 4, but I ended up doing 5, and I was like, oh, I've already done 5 rows. Okay, that's all right. A little extra ribbing won't hurt anything. And then, so I do only have 6 repeats of the color work pattern, and I am really happy with the fit. It is snug, as I mentioned, but I really like that fit. So maybe not everybody would like to have it quite as snug as I do, but I really do like it. I was afraid after I finished it that it was going to be too tight. I did end up blocking it quite aggressively to stretch it width-wise so that it would, you know, be a little bit bigger. My head measures, I think, about 21 3/4 inches in diameter, and I blocked this out so that it measured, I think it was about 19.5 when I had it laid out flat. Well, I mean, you know, the circumference was about 19.5 inches. So, you know, it still has more stretch than that, but that's how I blocked it. Anyway, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and it is very warm. It's only fingering weight, but it's still very warm because it's 100% wool. It's a 100% Peruvian Highland wool. So anyway, I'm really happy with that. And as I said, it was a very quick project, really. Once I got going with the right number of stitches and everything, it worked up pretty well. So I'm happy with it in the end. I'm also, of course, very happy to have another project from my Make 9 list completed, so hopefully I will continue to do that, continue to work on that list. So, all right, I'll move on to works in progress. My first work in progress has gotten moved into this beautiful bag that I received from a swap that I did with Mary Ann of Rock Islander. She made this bag for me, and I absolutely love it. She really customized this bag for me. She sent me different color schemes and let me choose what was my favorite, and asked what kinds of things that I liked, and I told her I really liked woodland themed things, and so she just really customized this for me, which is so very special. And I had to move this project into this bag because it was in a different bag and was getting too large, so it wasn't fitting in that little bag, and I moved it to this one. And this is the test knit that I am making for Jill KARINA, and it is called the Cassandra cardigan, and it's coming along kind of slow because it's fingering weight and it's a large cardigan, but it's still coming along, and I'm loving it still, of course. It's just such a beautiful design. Here you can see how it's coming. So if you haven't tuned in before, this is a knit that is made from the top down, and it is a steeked cardigan. So you're here in the middle, you can see there are 7 stitches that will that is the steeking area where I will cut it open to make it into a cardigan once the body is completed. And last time I recorded, I was working on the pockets. So here is a stitch marker that shows you I was right here where the pockets are. I had already finished one pocket and I was working on the second pocket, so I was able to finish that. So you can see that it's not really completed, but that's the length of the pocket. Last time I recorded, I made a mistake. I thought that the pocket was going to be folded up like that, which would make a very small pocket. And I was wrong. It's not. It's actually going to be stitched into the inside of the cardigan once it's done, and it will be that length. So, but I really like how the pocket is made using the contrast color, so that you can see that that will be peeking through a little bit as you wear the cardigan. And I really love how that is done, the pockets. As you can see, you knit those flaps for the pockets, and then you come back and you put some extra, or cast on some extra stitches, and you work the ribbing for the pocket as you're working around. So you can see that the pocket's already forming there, and I just really think that is such a clever way to do it. I am using, again, my own hand-dyed yarn for this project, Noble Character Crafts yarn, on my Pitter Patter base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And it is in the main color is my Honor colorway, and the contrast color is my Kindness colorway. So I really love how that looks together. And right now I am just working stockinette in the round for several more rows yet before I will start the ribbing. But actually, I'm sorry, after I'm done with well, I'm going to work a few more rows, quite a few more rows in the Honor colorway, and there's some more color work at the bottom of the cardigan before I do the ribbing, so that's what will come next. I am using US size 6 needles, 4mm, and the gauge for this project is 24 stitches to 4 inches. And yeah, I'm really excited about this cardigan, but like I said, it is, you know, quite a long process in making a fingering weight cardigan that is long, and it's a little oversized. I'm making a size that's a little bit, has a little bit of positive ease for me. So anyway, I'm really happy with how it's coming along so far though, and I absolutely love it. Oh, and news about the pattern. Jill did let us test knitters know that she is planning to release the pattern on March 1st, and 50% of the proceeds for the sales of this pattern are going to be donated to a cancer organization. She's based out of Norway, and so I believe that the organization that she's donating to is also based out of Norway. But just so great that she is willing to donate some of the proceeds to that organization. The name of the cardigan is in honor of her cousin, I believe it is, who had cancer, and her name was Cassandra. So it is in honor of her, and I think that that is such a special meaning, and you know, it just adds to how wonderful this pattern is. It's a gorgeous pattern on its own, but then it has that special meaning and special fundraiser for that special organization, so it just makes it extra special. So very excited about this project. Okay, my next work in progress is in my Tanny Casey project bag, and it has these enamel pins on it from Nice and Knit. And in here is the sweater that I am making for my eldest son. This is my third project from my Make 9 list, and this is the Metamorphic sweater by Lisa K. Ross. My eldest son is 10 years old, and I am making the 10-year-old size. I'm again using my own hand-dyed yarn, Noble Character Crafts yarn, on my Josephine base, which is a DK weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. The colorways I'm using are Choice Silver for this top section. The middle lighter blue section is my Cold Water colorway, and the bottom is my Deep Waters colorway. This little turtle progress keeper is marking where I was last time I recorded, so I was able to finish the bottom, or the body of the sweater, as you can see. And then the instructions call for you to do the neckband. So I was able to complete that. So you pick up stitches along here, all around the back, and then up to this corner again, and you knit this ribbing, which is 2x2 ribbing, and then you pick up stitches for these two flaps and work these little sections along here, and you add buttonholes. And the way that these buttonholes are made is a really neat method of doing it. I have done that same method when I made the Wyatt sweater by Michelle Wong, but these are the only two sweaters that I have made using this kind of a buttonhole. It's kind of has quite a few different steps to get the buttonhole to be made, but I really like how it is made. I'm not really sure what that technique is called, but anyway, I think it makes a little bit larger of a buttonhole rather than just doing a yarn over like you typically would. Anyway, I really am liking how this is working up. I have used several different needle sizes for this project. So the gauge for this project calls for 19 stitches to 4 inches. For the main body, I used US size 8 5 millimeter needles. And then when I did the color work on the body, I went up to US size 9 5.5 millimeter needles. But as you can see, I think you can probably see that I think the color work goes in a little bit right here. It pulled it in a little bit too tight. So I'm really hoping that through blocking I'll be able to stretch that out so it doesn't go in, that it, you know, has a little bit more room to match the regular gauge of the body. I hope it does. Thankfully, my 10-year-old is quite thin, and so it's okay that it's a little bit tighter through the torso because, like I said, he's pretty slim. For the ribbing, I went down to a US 7 4.5 millimeter needle. And now I'm working on the first sleeve, and I decided for the color work on the sleeve to go up to a US size 10, which is a 6 millimeter needle, so that I was hoping I wouldn't have as much of an issue with it being too tight. And I think it's better. I don't know, there's still like this there's a little bit of a ridge right here, right where the color work starts, where it looks like it pulls in right there. But again, I'm hopeful that through blocking that will even out. I really do love the color work section. I just finished the color work on the sleeve, and that's just such a fun and easy color work section where you fade in those colors as you go along. It's really, really fun to see that the colors play together. So I'm really happy with how this is coming along as well. I am anxious to get this done so that he can wear it. He's very excited to wear it, so that is an encouragement to me that, you know, I want to get it done as quickly as possible for him. So yeah, it's coming along really well, and I'm really happy with it. I'm not using nearly as much yarn as what the pattern called for. I dyed up 1.5 skeins of the choice silver colorway, but I'm pretty sure I'm only going to be using one of those. I'm not going to be using the half skein that I dyed up. I don't think I'll need it. I dyed up a half of a skein for a 50-gram skein for the cold water, the light blue, and I'll have lots of that left over as well. And then I dyed up 2 skeins of the deep waters, and I just started the second skein when I started the ribbing on the body. So I'm sure I'll have plenty of that as well, just for the 2 sleeves. So anyway, better to have too much yarn than too little, of course. But I did not alternate skeins at all in this section, or any of the sections, because I had a full skein of yarn and I was pretty confident that I would be able to get the body done. I did, like I said, have to switch to the second skein for the ribbing, but I don't see any color variation there that is too noticeable, so I think it's fine. The skeins were all dyed in the same pot at the same time, so there shouldn't be color variation there anyway. So anyway, that's coming along well. I forgot to mention that on my Cassandra cardigan, I am alternating skeins throughout the whole body of that. So just FYI. Okay, I have one more work in progress that I just started yesterday. Emma of Potter and Bloom posted, well, quite a few weeks ago, she had posted a crocheted hexagon motif that she was working on. And I absolutely loved it from the moment that I saw her post about that. And she said that she was going to be making a tutorial for that. And yesterday she released the tutorial for the MILEY hexagon motif. And it is a free pattern. And I decided to start another scrappy blanket. I already have 3 on the go, but this is going to be my 4th one. But I had a need for one more. Not really a need, but I did want to make another scrappy Afghan using up my DK weight scraps. So the pattern, when she posted the video tutorial, she used fingering weight yarn, but of course it's very easy to adjust to a different weight of yarn. And so I am using DK weight yarn. I am using a larger hook than she does, of course. I am using an H8 5 millimeter crochet hook. And this motif is just so fun and easy. It's only 3 rounds. And so I am just, as you can obviously see, I'm using a different color for the first round. And then for the second 2 rounds, I am using my Bare undyed yarn, or my Lambs colorway, on my Josephine base, which again is my DK weight base. All of the center colors are, almost all of them are my own hand dyed yarn. This one and this one are some alpaca DK weight yarn that I had on hand. This looks black, but it's actually a really deep chocolate brown natural alpaca color, which is very pretty. And I can't really handle alpaca next to my skin, but I'm thinking that these little tiny bits of alpaca won't bother me too much in a blanket. So otherwise it's all my Josephine base on different. This is my enriched colorway. This is my deep waters. This is the cold water that are in the sweater that I'm making for my boy. This is my scarlet colorway. I made a sweater for my youngest son using this colorway, and I made a sweater in my enriched colorway for myself. And then this is one of a kind colorway that I just had dyed up in a sample. So anyway, so I'm really happy with how this is coming along. I think it's so beautiful. I'm really, really excited about it. I am joining as I go. So on the 3rd round, I am just slipping into the stitch that's right across from where I'm working so that they match up. And that's coming along really well, I think. I'm really happy with that. I think it's beautiful. And it really doesn't take very much at all. I should show you, I had that bit that I used to make the deep waters center. Boy, I bet it was, I should have weighed it. I didn't weigh it, but I bet it was smaller than this one. I'm pretty sure it was smaller than this little bit that I have. And it was enough to make that first round. So it really doesn't take very much yarn at all to do that first round. And so I'll be able to use up all my little scraps that I have left over from DK weight projects. So I'm really happy about that. So thank you so much to Emma for putting out that free tutorial. I think it's a beautiful pattern and I'm super excited about it. And I just have all of my DK weight scraps in this little basket. I don't know where I got this from, but that's where it's living for right now, until it gets big enough that, or bigger, that it won't fit in a little tiny basket like that. So those are all of my works in progress. I have received a few gifts since I recorded last week, which is so wonderful. They were both surprises, and obviously it's just absolutely wonderful to receive surprises in the mail. So the first one is this beautiful hat, and this came from a viewer of the podcast. And she has also ordered some yarn from me before. So that's how she had my address, I guess. And she surprised me with this beautiful hat in the mail. Isn't it gorgeous? Oh, I think it's so beautiful. So she just sent this to me because she was thinking of me in my the loss of my brother, as I had mentioned last week. And she thought that I would like to have an encouraging gift come in the mail. Isn't that beautiful? I love these colors so much. And it's really, really warm. It's a thicker yarn. It's obviously wool. It's nice and cozy and so beautiful. And look at that gorgeous pom-pom on top. I love it. So I've already thanked her. I am just so grateful for her thinking of me. So thank you again. You know who you are. So thank you so much again. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm so thoroughly touched that you thought of me. It's pretty, isn't it? Oh, it's so pretty. And the other gift that I received is from my very good friend, Tina. I go to church with her, and I don't know if you remember, but last year I made her my Time Trades shawl that I was working on was a gift for her. And I also gifted her the gable cap that I made. I gifted that to her as well. And I guess I also gifted her some socks. Anyway, she sewed this beautiful project bag for me out of a tablecloth that she reused. And I absolutely love it. Isn't this awesome? So I don't remember the name of these bags. They do have a certain name, but I really like them. So you just loop this longer handle in through the shorter handle. and you can carry it around like that. It's so nicely made, and this, if you can't tell right away, it's kind of an abstract picture, but it's fields. And so Tina thought that was fitting since, you know, we live on a farm and everything. I love how she cut out the pattern to match going up the handle like this. She did that on both sides. And on the inside, she had kind of an afterthought to put a pocket on the inside. And so she handed me an extra scrap of yarn, of material that she had, and said that, you know, that would be good to make a pocket. So I went ahead and added the pocket to the inside. I just sewed it, you know, hemmed it around the outside, and then I just hand stitched it in on the inside. It's a little bit crooked, but don't look too closely. I tried to put it straight, but for some reason when I was all done, I was like, oh, that's a little crooked, but oh well, it will serve its purpose. So anyway, just a nice little pocket on the inside. So yeah, I'm super excited to start using this, and thank you so much, Tina. She's such a sweetheart. She comes bearing gifts for me to church all the time. So I'm always very grateful for all of the wonderful things you give me, Tina. Thank you. Okay, the last thing I have to share with you is a set of yarn from my Etsy shop. Every time I record, I like to share a set of yarn from my shop. And I don't believe that I've shared this faded set with you all before, but this is my Dwell faded set. As you can see, it is a gradient set that goes from light, very light gray to a deep charcoal, and it is speckled with plum, turquoise, and navy blue. Oh, as well as some deeper charcoal specks. They almost look black, but they're actually a charcoal color. And yeah, I really love this set. It would work really nicely for the Spectre pattern by Joji Locatelli. I do actually have some kits that are specifically for that pattern in my shop as well, and they come with only 4 skeins because that's what that pattern calls for. They don't include the lightest shade, they come with the 4 darkest shades. And then also this faded set is also available in a mini skein set, so you can get this faded set on 20 gram minis as well if you'd be interested. So that's also in my shop if you are at all interested. So that's all I have to share with you all today. We have had a good week again, although we have continued to have some sickness in our house. A few of the kids have passed around sickness involving fever and sore throat, but it doesn't seem to last too long. It's about a 24-hour bug, really, and then it seems to clear up, so that's good. And otherwise, the temperatures have just plummeted in the last week. We have had bitterly cold weather, as maybe you know from other people that live in the Midwest. The temperatures have just been bitterly cold, but it is a little bit warmer today, and we're supposed to get some warmer temperatures over the weekend, so that's nice. And we haven't gotten nearly as much snow as people east of us have gotten, so I guess that's good. Although I love the snow, but I guess it's good. I don't know. Anyway, we've been doing well other than that. I do want to just thank you all again. I received so many more condolences messages from so many of you in regards to my brother's passing, and I just want to thank you all again for that. Your prayers and your wonderful words of encouragement are I'm so grateful for all of them. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I really appreciate that. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would really appreciate you giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to this channel if you would like. I hope that you all have a wonderful week ahead. Bye-bye.